Up next, we have a special one, and not just because he is the president and COO of Laravel. More important than that, he's an accountant just like me. Do we have any other formally trained accountants in the room? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Honestly, I expected somebody. Okay. It's just you and me, Tom. All right, we've got an accountant coming out. All right, listen, Tom is the president and COO of Laravel, but he's been in and around the PHP community for a long time. He was previously at a couple of different companies that you've probably heard of. He was the CEO of Pond5, and then he joined Shutterstock, and so he's been, and those are both PHP shops, and so he's been around this community for a long time, and he's going to tell us a story of being in that PHP community, discovering Laravel, getting to know Taylor, and he's just going to give us a lot of behind the scenes. And this is his first time on any Laracon stage, so I want you to make him feel super welcome. Please give it up for Tom Crary.
Yeah. Hello, Laracon. So exciting to be here today. My name is Tom Crary. I am the COO here at Laravel. I've been with Laravel now for over a year and a half. And I've had the pleasure to go to 4 Laracons around the world during that time. Yeah, it's crazy. But I truly never thought I'd be up here on stage presenting, to be honest. It's kind of crazy. You know, when I joined Laravel a year and a half ago, I started coming to these conferences, and I realized how energizing it is to be here. And I feel that today at being up here on stage. So I'm going to take you back to the fall of 2023. Picture it, San Francisco, California, November 2023. I'm sitting across the table from Taylor Otwell as he presents his vision for Laravel. At the time, Taylor was wrestling with the biggest decision of his professional career, whether to raise venture capital funding and to pursue his dream for Laravel. Before this, I was the CEO of Pond5, digital media company based in New York City, and we were acquired by Shutterstock in 2022. Both Pond5 and Shutterstock were PHP companies operating at massive scale. Shutterstock's web properties, for example, see over 100 million web sessions every single month. So I knew about Laravel. In fact, we even used a little bit of Laravel in our stack at the time, but I truly was prepared for the vision that Taylor laid out that day. Taylor painted a vision for Laravel Cloud, a fully managed deployment solution for Laravel apps, a reimagined Laravel Forge, as we announced yesterday, and a world-class monitoring solution we later called Laravel Nightwatch. There was a moment in the conversation when I realized we weren't just building a few new software applications. We were building an ecosystem that could change how Laravel developers build, deploy, and monitor their apps for the next generation. Taylor and I spent 2 days together that week, and I could see in Taylor a founder who cared deeply about this community, and he was willing to risk everything to take Laravel to the next level. Taylor and I spent 2 days together that week, and if I'm being honest, I wasn't sure Laravel was the right fit for me when I first walked in. But after those 2 days together, I couldn't imagine working anyplace else. As Taylor flew home to Arkansas and I returned to Boston, Taylor drafted what I later called his manifesto on the plane ride home. This was a comprehensive vision for Laravel that wasn't just ambitious, it was transformative. Screen here. This is the actual manifesto that he drafted. I don't know if you know this about Taylor, he's a very prolific writer, so when he writes something down, it's really very impactful and very polished. Taylor painted a vision about how we would strengthen our open source dominance with a new level of investment and focus. We're going to build Laravel Cloud for instant deployment. We're going to reimagine Forge for the next generation, and we'd create Nightwatch for seamless monitoring. And I came to learn with Taylor, there's always one more thing. Fast forward, Christmas Eve 2023, I signed my offer letter to join Laravel. I started on January 1st, 2024. 6 weeks later, we closed our $57 million funding round, and we were off to the races. Of course, the boring stuff had to come first. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Of course, the boring stuff came first. We had to do due diligence. cap tables, bank accounts, insurance, payroll, and benefits. We had to lay the organizational foundation to be able to move faster later. But then came the most important decision, or the most important part, hiring the team. There's a saying I've always liked: culture eats strategy for breakfast. You see, this isn't just a catchphrase, this is reality. We knew that if we hired too quickly, or we hired the wrong people, it would cost us dearly in speed and execution later. And we are committed to building a team in the image of the community we serve. See, the original Laravel core team of 10 was truly special. We needed to build around that original group of 10 as leaders in our company for the next generation. But our first key hire, the other thing about the Laravel team, it was a global team. So that original group of 10 employees was spread across 8 countries around the world. This gave us a global footprint from day one. We leaned into our asynchronous. We leaned into asynchronous communication, and we hired only senior autonomous developers who are great communicators and would add to our culture of positive vibes. Our first key hire in March 2024 was Andre Valentin, who joined us as Director of Engineering. Thank you, everybody. Andre deserves applause. I'm sure he's watching at home. He just had his second baby, so I'm sure he's watching at home. He wasn't able to make it this year. But Andre was our first key hire. He joined us as Director of Engineering in March 2024. Andre's first mission was to organize our OG developers into focused teams. Joe Dixon, as you know, would take the lead on Laravel Cloud, along with Nuno. Jess Archer would lead Nightwatch, together with Tim McDonald. And James would take on Forge and Vapor. With this initial foundation in place, we began to hire aggressively. Our goal was to scale. There's one more slide here. In addition to that, we had Dries, Mohammed, and Mior continue to anchor our open source and support teams, while Christoph was already increasing the pace of our video content production. With this initial structure in place, we began to hire aggressively. Our goal was to grow the team from 10 to 35 in the next 90 days, and this would take us to June of 2024. At this point, we faced a critical early decision. Could we build Laravel Cloud with our existing server management expertise? Or did we need to hire dedicated infrastructure engineers? Taylor and I realized our ambitions demanded more. We needed to hire infrastructure talent right from the start. This would ensure we were building a platform that was capable of scaling and meeting our ambitious roadmap. Our first key hire in infrastructure was Chris Fidao, who, as you may know, joined us in March 2024 as well. Chris, as you may know him, known as Fideloper here in the Laravel community, had infrastructure and Laravel experience dating back over a decade, including to his time at Userscape, where he and Taylor actually worked together 10 years before. I don't know if you knew that. But beyond Chris's esteemed resume, Taylor also knew that Chris would excel in an unstructured development environment of building Laravel Cloud from a blank sheet of paper and an empty GitHub repo, as the case may be. And he was right. 2 months later, Justin Reisner joined us as well. Yay, Justin. Justin came to us from WP Engine, and he brought cloud infrastructure, Kubernetes, and automation experience to our team. He's been amazing. 1 month after that, in June, Florian Beer came aboard, where he brought a lot of Florian fans in the room. I love it. Where he brought networking, monitoring, and reliability engineering to the team. But of course, infrastructure engineers and developers were just the beginning. We needed to build a complete Laravel team. For instance, we needed to scale our customer support team to support multiple large-scale products. We needed security and compliance experience to be able to pursue SOC 2 and ISO 27001. We needed world-class designers to apply the level of polish to our products that Taylor envisioned. We needed finance and HR, and we needed marketing and DevRel to engage our community. Here are some of those other hires that joined us during the time. You may know some of them, especially David, who helped me with these fine slides. Thank you, David. But then came one important question. One day, Taylor asked me and Andre, so what exactly does a product manager do, having not hired one before for Laravel, and gotten pretty far, of course? Well, we decided we'd post a role for a product manager, and we were flooded with applicants. Now, one day, as I was sifting through AI-generated cover letters, one candidate's application stood out from the rest. Calvin Szymanski was a product manager at Ford Motor Company, of all places. Now, that's right, Calvin. Salute to Calvin. Calvin's background was very interesting. He had actually started a SaaS app, a successful SaaS app, using Laravel. He was also a self-taught Laravel developer. And he had product management experience at scale from his time at Ford. Calvin came aboard. After several rounds of reviews, Calvin came aboard and greatly accelerated our pace and quality of our production. And he was critical to our launch of Laravel Cloud. I just want to share, this is Calvin's actual cover letter, by the way, just the beginning of it, of course. But this is how you write a good cover letter. So don't use AI. Make it come from the heart. That's it. This is actually also my conversation with Taylor as I'm finding it in that pile and pointing it out to him. So it's pretty cool. Now let's rewind a bit. February 2024, we're at Laracon EU in Amsterdam. At this point, Taylor had begun sketching out his vision for Laravel Cloud, and we're meeting with Joe Dixon. Joe had spent, of course, much of the prior 2 years building Laravel Vapor. At one point in the conversation, Joe asked Taylor a critical question. But what's your number? Joe was asking Taylor, how quickly did a user need to progress from sign-up to deployment on Laravel Cloud? Without hesitation, Taylor answered, 1 minute or less. Joe nodded and said this was the exact same number in mind, and within days, we began building what would become Laravel Cloud. Now, I'm not going to talk much about the technical challenges we faced during this time. There's definitely better people here to tell you about that, but I'll share a couple of the business challenges we faced along the way. Start with the first one. See, at this point, we had decided to build primarily on top of AWS, which is a pretty obvious choice, as we knew it would increase our speed to market, reduce our risk, and give us global scale out of the gates. But here's the thing. Even though Laravel, the framework, was widely known at the time, Laravel, the company, was actually spending less than $1,000 a month on AWS. Actually, much less than $1,000 a month. So you can imagine that's not the level of spend that gets you enterprise-supported AWS or access to the best technical experts or understanding of long-term pricing dynamics. The same challenge was true of Cloudflare, we were considering for our networking layer. So my challenge became clear. My job was to establish Laravel as a serious enterprise partner and communicate the scale of our ambitions. This wasn't actually as easy as I thought it would be, to be honest. It actually took several months, many attempts, and a lot of creative networking just to find the right team at both of these companies. So, but I'm happy with the results that we got to. Now, at this point, we were facing a number of product decisions, important product decisions. So for our networking layer, would we use services from AWS or the suite from Cloudflare? On compute, we were still considering serverless architectures, as well as the traditional server model along with EKS. On the database front, there was countless choices from the RDS and Aurora suite at AWS, third-party partners like Neon, and first-party Laravel options. Of course, there were many other categories. What would we do for caching and object storage? How we approach usage-based billing and monitoring? We came up with a clear decision framework at this point that started with the technical complexity and risk. We needed to make decisions rapidly, but we always had the long-term implications in mind. So it came down to product fit, a deep technical review, and an understanding of where we wanted to be from a product and technology point of view. Intentionally last on this list is economics. It was always the last thing we worried about. I was always confident we could get to the right economics and the right legal structure with any of the partners we were talking to. 12 months later, I'm very proud of the progress we made on Laravel Cloud. It's been an incredible 12 months. Our team is amazing. Of course, this story has to end at the end of the 6 months in June of last year. It's been 12 months since, and so much has happened. This is a picture of our team 12 months ago at Laracon US in Dallas when we were 35. Well, fast forward now, we're now 80 across the world. We have employees in 21 countries. That's right, yes. Round of applause. It is as global. Our team is as global as the community we serve. 21 countries. We actually have employees that spread across, our workday spreads across all 24 hours a day. So you know someone at Laravel is always shipping. So where are we now? We've launched Laravel Cloud. We've launched Laravel Nightwatch this year. We have over 15,000 active customers on Laravel Cloud, and we have over 10,000 customers already on Laravel Nightwatch. Did we meet our 60-second deployment time? Not only did we meet it, we crushed it. Our average deployment time is around 40 to 45 seconds, and we regularly see deployments as low as 27 seconds. So great job by the team. Obviously had very little to do with that, but it is a fantastic accomplishment. And today we are still, of course, one global Laravel community. I want to thank you for your time today. Thank you, Laracon. Absolute pleasure to be here. And thank you for welcoming this incredible global community.
Mr. President, here you go. This one's for you. I'll take that. I got two questions for you. One is, you have a long history of leading companies, right? But Pond5 and Shutterstock are fundamentally differently shaped companies. What has been the difference or some of the surprises coming into a developer tooling company and trying to lead that?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been around technology companies of various kinds, and I've always done a lot of different stuff. Actually, before the digital marketing e-commerce, I was doing a solar company, advanced manufacturing and engineering. So
Okay.
a lot of different stuff. So I've always been around technology companies, but I think the unifying factor is communities. Like, obviously there's the community inside the company, but Pond5 and Shutterstock were also community-based companies. They were artistic-based communities. So it's always important to recognize that, the community you serve is the community you serve. And we have to keep that in everything we do.
I like that. And now my second question is, coming into Laravel with such a strong leader in Taylor, right? He is the head of the community. He has good taste. He's very opinionated. What's the interplay between you and Taylor? You as president, him as CEO, your COO. Where do you guys complement each other, and how does that kind of break?
Yeah, I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with Taylor. I have to say, I've worked with a lot of founders. They're not always easy, but Taylor has been an absolute pleasure to work with. He's very trusting, as you know. He's more than happy to give autonomy to all on his team. So, I think we've gone along really well. We found ways to complement each other. We obviously keep in close communication and make decisions together. I'll never be where Taylor is from a product or technology point of view or software point of view. So obviously we lean heavily on him for all of the vision and technology decisions we make. But I have a role to play there too, and make sure, especially we bring the legal aspects and the financial aspects to the table, and we're always thinking about how they can come together.
Well, it's working great. Y'all give it up for Tom.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.